Good morning and welcome to Moxie Monday. Right now it is 10:15, so we're going to go ahead and get started right on the dot. My name is Elizabeth Glass. I'm one of your trainers on the training team. If you need to reach me at any time, my email is elizabeth.glass@cbschmidtohio.com. So today I thought I wanted to give you guys something that's going to be relevant to what you're going to be doing over the next couple of weeks and coming summer. So right now we're kind of in different markets as far as real estate, depending on what region you're in. But what's going to happen is we're going to jump into spring season. And what that does is it creates a lot of house fever. People want to jump into looking at houses. They get excited. The weather makes them interested in just going out and looking. And sometimes that can actually be difficult for a realtor because people will kind of be overzealous and want to see too much. And you might be maybe wasting time seeing things that might not be as beneficial for you to go and see. So we've got a couple different things to help you within our Moxi platform to really be efficient, right? So what we're going to look at today is actually in Moxi Present. Moxi Present is your presentation tool. So that's what you would use if you're doing a CMA, a comparative market analysis, for someone looking to sell their house. It gives them an idea of where they stand on the market. But then there's also something called a buyer presentation, and that's going to cater towards being a presentation for a buyer. We also have the option of doing a custom listing presentation. So Present lets you do like newsletters. You can do your own personal presentation. But the one I'm going to focus on today is going to be the buyer tour, because this is what I've specifically done myself to help narrow down a property, and it efficiently helped to literally find the property that the person wanted to purchase. So it firsthand helps sell the house. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to jump into Moxi Present. For this simulation, I'm going to have you guys actually watch me do a full buyer tour, and I'm going to show you why I like it. And it's very specific because it is connected to the MLS, it's connected to everything. So yourself and your buyers are going to have access to this intuitive, interactive buyer tour, where it's going to literally navigate them via GPS through Google from one property to the next. And the coolest part's when they get there, with like a tap of a button, they can then tap on the same listing and then go in and see all the specs. So this is what we just did with my children's grandmother. So we used buyer tour to not only navigate from one to two, the first house to the second, but when they were there, we were able to walk through the property, literally looking at the specs. So as you're in the family room, look at the dimensions. So you're getting that real lifetime tour that you're getting. And then also it's something that they can go see when they go home later to revisit and take a look at those specific properties. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a buyer tour. And I want you to kind of do the mindset of, we've got a buyer who's very excited. Maybe they have, they're not sure what area they want to go in yet. So for that, just so you guys know, you would do the buyer presentation. The buyer presentation and the buyer tour are two different things. The buyer presentation helps them whittle down properties. So maybe that can help be more specific. So if you have someone that doesn't know what they want or too many properties, use the buyer presentation. The buyer tour is specifically for when you finally narrow down to those specific properties. Let's say they were looking at maybe 10, toying the idea with 10. When we narrow it down to like 4 properties that they're like, okay, these are the ones that I want to see. These are the ones I want you to go ahead and set up showings for. That's when you use the buyer tour, and that's what we're going to do today. So right now, we are signed into Moxi. You guys should all know by now, we now go into Moxi through the desk platform. So to start from the get-go, you go into mycbdesk.com, and then you click on the Moxi square, and it will then log you in here. When you're logged into Moxi, regardless of what page it loads you onto, because it does remember the last time you were in, and it usually takes you back to the last page. Regardless of that, you're going to go into the upper navigation panel and you're going to click on the word present. That's actually going to then load a page similar to what you're seeing on my screen, and that's actually going to be the library. So any presentation of any kind that you've made to this point is going to show here. So these are all the presentations that were previously made. Now, please note, if you've never been in Present before and you haven't made any type of presentation yet, this will be empty, and you'll probably only have one thing showing up here, and that's going to be like a default one that you can take a look at just so you can see how it runs. So don't worry, I'll show you how to create a new one. For this simulation, I'm actually going to use one of our realtors by the name of Patrick. I'm in his Present right now. To create a new presentation or a new buyer tour, it's very simple. You're going to take your eyes to the top right-hand side of my screen. You're going to see where it has a blue button and it says create new. We're going to click that. The top option is for the CMA. So this is when you're trying to help a seller. The property review is when you can get a review of a property, you compare the current listings and market trends. That's the extra step that's in property review. That's not in seller. The buyer, again, this is when you're helping them whittle it down. So this is when we have a lot of different properties they're starting to look at. The non-listing, this is when you can do like a personal presentation. This is when you can do a newsletter, whatever. So what we're doing right here is the buyer tour. We're going to go ahead and click on it. And you guys, this is so simple. I'm telling you right now, I did all of this from my cell phone at like 10 o'clock at night in bed one time, setting it up, and it went right to the recipient, and it was very easy. And they also are able to access it on their cell phone. Now, that being said, I want to say something. This is not an app, right? I do not need an app for this, which is important because if you're like me, I do not have room for it. So the great news about Moxi is they can do this, whether your client is receiving it in an email or you're logging in through directly to Moxi on your phone. It's mobile responsive. So it's going to be the same website. It's your actual account. It's just going to resize it to based on what type of device you have. So it's mobile responsive, meaning cell phone. You can be on anything that has the availability to be online, right? So maybe like a tablet or an iPad. You can also do this directly from a computer as well. So here's the first step. It's very quick and very easy. So right here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to see where it says brokerage templates. I'm actually going to keep that one. You definitely can choose the Coldwell Banker one, but there's no need for a buyer tour. I would rather it just be our brokerage with our label. So our DBA. So I'm going to keep that very simple. It's already been built, right? So the Moxi team, or our company, we've already been ahead of schedule here and we've pre-built it. So all you're doing now is hitting continue. You're now going to put the name or the recipient of who it is going to. So let's just say this is going to Jim and Sally Smith. That is the name you're going to put here. Now keep in mind, this is what they see. So be thoughtful about what you put here. Now down here, you're just going to choose the presentation type. This doesn't really matter as much for a buyer tour. However, the classic just means it's going to be our standard blue that we have for Coldwell Banker. If you're in here as Century 21, it's going to be your label, and then same thing goes for Sotheby's. The luxury tab is just going to then brand it like Coldwell Banker Luxury and make it black instead of blue. I'm going to keep it classic. We're going to hit create. Now, here's the thing. You're going to think nothing's happening, but it's working. So right now it's actually building it behind the scenes, and you're going to see a little circle. There we go. All right. Now, Present is amazing because guess what? The steps are so quick and easy, and it doesn't matter what you do in Present. It could be a buyer tour, presentation for a seller, presentation for a buyer. All the steps are exactly the same way. So as I show you how to do it today, you're going to be able to go in and do any type of presentation because it's the same steps. The first thing we're going to do is take our eyes here to the top left-hand side. Options, search, listings, pages. Literally, those are your steps. It walks you right through. A very important note is if you are in the options page and then you flip forward and you're all the way to the listings page and you need to go back and change something, it doesn't erase or remove anything. It keeps everything there. So if you're like me and you do all these different pages and you go back and then you get annoyed that everything's gone, you don't have to worry about that. That's not going to happen. So here we're going to go in very quickly. As you can see here that we are preparing this for Jim and Sally Smith. Now it has the drive time optional. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on this because what this does is it lets you put in here a starting point or let's say a work address, right? So if you're a client, you're in here thinking, great, I'm looking at houses, but how far away are these houses from my work? So you're able to put a starting location. So for this, we are going to start off with our Strongsville office, just for a location standpoint. But again, you'd be putting, the client would be putting, you'd be putting the client's address or their work so that they could differentiate for each property that distance. Okay, we're going to set the location. That's not mandatory, but why not do it? Okay. So now that we've set the location, anytime you're in Present, you can either go right to the next step by clicking right on it, or in the bottom right-hand side, it's hard to see because there's a help button there right now, but there's also a blue continue button. So please know that this continue button and going to the next step is exactly the same thing, either one. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to search. Now, here's the great thing is that at this point, you've already done the buyer presentation, so you already know what properties there are. We're going to pretend like we picked out 4 properties. Because I've already picked them out, that does mean I already know the MLS number. So In reality, you can sit here and put addresses in, but I don't need to do that. I'm going to save some time, make it really quick and easy. In the upper right-hand corner, see my cursor. See where it says MLS? We're going to go ahead and click on that. I'm literally going to come in here and just type those numbers in. Okay, so the first MLS number in here, we're going to pretend like we want to see this property. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter or the magnifying glass. Now what I want to do is I want to select it so you can see my properties right here. If I hover over the photo on the left side, it's going to give me a little plus sign. That means if I click it, it's going to add it. Now I want to undo it. I want you to keep your eyes where it says listings right here. See where my cursor is now? When you add a property, hit that plus sign, that number is going to go up. So if you're not sure if you have the right number of properties, this is what lets you know what it is. So I'm simply just going to say that, okay, that's added. Now I'm going to highlight this, type right over it, guys, 437. Oops. 437. Oh, sorry. I want to make sure I get the right one in here, 77. So I just went in and kind of preliminarily picked some in here just to make it work for our simulation. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add this one. So now I'm going to go ahead in here. So we've got that. Make sure it takes. Okay, and then I'm going to come in here 4455452. I'm going to go in here, add that one. For some reason it's not grabbing it like it should right now. I can see in here I added 3. See how I added 3 and it says 2? I'm just going to go in and check that first one really quick. 4450404. And that's just the internet. Sometimes the internet takes a second. See how it doesn't say selected? I'm going to go ahead and select it again. Now we're at 3. That's it. It's very easy. All right, we're going to put our last MLS number in there, 4447797. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. And now I'm going to include that property. So now we're done. That's it. That's all you have to do here. And now I'm going to the next page, listings. Okay, so this is the cool part. This is where you can put it in order based off where it is. Take your eyes to the right, guys. This is why this is so fun and cool for you guys as a realtor, because it just helps you navigate your client there so much easier. Now, if you can look at my screen, take a look at my map. Here's property 1, right? So they're just putting it in a suggested order in which you should go see it based on where you're at, right? So we want to geographically go around the map in a way that makes sense instead of doing a lot of backtracking. So if we started off right here at property 1 near Albion, it's suggesting we come down here, come all the way to 2, and then come back in 3. But guess what? That doesn't seem very logical to me. So I get to dictate and change that around. So if it's in my opinion, I probably would think maybe if I started on 1, I could come down to this property second. But in other words, all you're going to do is come over here and then click change order. So once you do that, you're now going to be able to see how this was number 1. That's number 1. See how it matches? So when I pull these and drag and drop them, it's going to then help us navigate the way that we want or we feel most efficient. So let's just say, for example, I wanted to grab number 3 that was down here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that in the position of number 2. Do you see how very quickly that changed that navigation for us? So 4 and 3 is backwards. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to do that. Okay, so do you see how much more efficient that is? We're going a straight shot. We're going down to 2, coming up to 3 and ending at 4. So you get to very quickly change the order based on what you see fit and based on where you want to go, right? So that's easy. That's it. The only thing I want to stipulate is in the upper left-hand corner, we're going to click Save Order. If you do not, it won't save the order. This is so easy. We're like done. It's so great. Okay, so now we're here and now we're done with this page. We're going to go ahead and hit Pages. So this is going to be the end result of any time you're in a presentation builder. The layout that we're looking at here is on the left side in that navigation panel. These are the actual pages of the presentation. When you click on them, so for example, if I clicked on listing location map, it's then going to build the first page of my presentation. So if you wanted to, you could come down here and you could click on these to take a look. But what I'm going to do right now, because we're actually pretty much done, but I want to show you now how to get it to your client. And then I'm going to flip hats and go into my email, ask the client, and show you how to get into that presentation, and then do a quick little simulation of what we would do when we are on the showings. So now take your eyes to the top of the screen, right-hand side. If you notice here, there's a view option. If you wanted to see it in the digital version before you send it to your client, you could click on web. If you want to see it in print, you can click on that. But what we're going to do is go ahead and just choose the little envelope that says send. Okay, and here's where you're going to actually put to who it's going to. So in this simulation, I'll just do myself because I'm in here. So as you guys can see, if it's a client that's already in your Moxi Engage, where your CRM is, your client relationship management tool, and your people go, you're going to click on that, right? You're good to go. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say it's to. That's that section right there, but we're going to add a subject in here. So make sure you guys are thoughtful because this is what they're actually going to see. So I'm going to put in here, I'm going to say for the greeting, this is going to be your personal home tour. Let's do that. And then you're going to do your own personalized message to make it very simple for you. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and just as a sample example here, we're going to say in our message, hello, I've created for you a personal home tour with the properties you are interested in to see tomorrow. Just click on the link and it will navigate you from one to the next and include all the property details while at each. I will see you tomorrow at 2 o'clock at property number 1. So that is going to be a very simple setup for them. You'll see how easy it is when they receive it. One thing you want to do is at the very bottom, there is a button. It says send a copy to myself. Make sure that's highlighted, and then you will also get one at the same time your client will, which is important because if you're like me, you liked having your cell phone too, and you are doing the navigation with them. All right. And also, by the way, this is amazing. You know how many times I have realtors say they wanted to do something like this, but they didn't have access to a printer at the last minute, or they couldn't get a printout of these, the directions and the specs. You don't need it because now you can just use Moxi. So I'm going to actually uncheck this because this is technically Patrick's and I don't need him to receive this. I already have one sent so that I'll see it. We're going to go ahead and put it in here. I'm still going to also do this. I'm just going to copy this for right now just so I can have something in the subject line. And I'm going to go ahead and hit send. So now as the realtor, you are done. That was so simple. It was so easy. Like I said, you can do it from anywhere. Even if you are on the fly and do an appointment out of nowhere, you can do this. If you have a realtor in your office that's sick and they need you to jump in at the last second, you can jump in and do this for them in a heartbeat. You saw how fast and easy that was. So let's take off our realtor hat. Now we are going to jump into client mode. I'm going to go into email and show you how they receive it and how they utilize it. So easy enough. I'm in email here and you can see I have the email from Patrick and it just says home tour. Go ahead and click on that. So what they receive is nice and simplistic. And I like this because you can be of any range of technological advancement or not to be able to use this. You don't need to know technology. When they receive it, it's very simplistic in nature. Marketing is very simple. We still have you on there. We still have your phone number on there, but it's simple, clean, and easy. Right here, right off the bat, here's your message that you sent to them personally. And then for them, it's as simple as a couple things here. One, they can actually just click on the button right here and it takes them right into the buyer tour. However, if they wanted to take a look at it in advance or print it out or take a peek, here is actually the tour preview. So each step is in here one by one. You get the address, you get the number of bedrooms, you get those stats that are in there as well, those specs. So if they wanted to, they could click on directions, and what would happen is it would open it up and it would literally take you right into Google Maps. And as you guys can see, it would start navigating you from one property to the next. But here's what I actually do. Instead of clicking on the directions here, I like it to navigate me from one property to the next. And then while I'm there, open it up and see the specs. So this is what they do. View buyer tour. And it was actually very fun when we did this because we were able to walk through and she had it, the info and specs in her hand and I did have in my hand. And what was fun is we were able to look in the family room like, oh yeah, this is the laminate they were talking about. Or, oh yeah, this is the carpet they were talking about right here. And it was so simple and it made our conversation easy and actually interesting. So let's go ahead and scroll down. So here's page 1. So this is where it gets kind of fun. You can see the order in which we have done business here. But what makes it easy is this is all that you have to do. So you're at the starting point of 1, right? Which is the first property right here. It puts it in order. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, all that has to happen, you're going to click on the property itself. And here are the specs, right? So you're like, okay, so of the 4, this is the one that I remembered had the bath. So you're connecting it mentally. The only thing that has to happen at the top, if you can see right here, you're going to click on directions. So literally imagine yourself being in your car on your cell phone, you're receiving this email, you're tapping that buyer tour, you click on the directions. So no matter where you're starting from, it's literally now going to navigate you using Google Maps to the property that you're going to first. So here's what's cool. As you guys can see here, we've got about 11 to 13-minute ride. We're going to pretend like we just did that ride and we are arrived. We are there. We have arrived. It's as simple as closing out that URL that opened up for your tour. And you're just going to come down here, as you guys can see. You see how this little bottom section here, you're just going to click on that and it's going to pull it back up. So now I'm imagining that I have now gotten out of my car, my cell phone or my tablet or anything that has internet ability is in my hands. Same thing with my clients. And now we're taking the phone in and we are now entering the property. This is where, as a realtor, you're going to give them an overview, even though they can see it, but you're going to say, okay, this house was listed at $399. It's $123 per square foot. Total square foot, 3,258. So the facts are in your hands. No more shuffling through papers trying to figure out which property's which. This actually allows them to not only very quickly walk through it, but see the stats in their mind. They can also give it a quick review at the top so they can remember which one they liked the most out of the 4, right? Makes it very easy. All the comments are there. So the concept here is they are now walking through the property with you. We're looking at the specs. We're able to jump through the pictures and see what we want. Now we're done with this property. Now we're going to go to property 2. It's very simplistic in nature. Top left-hand corner, you see up here, it says listing number 1, right? If I actually just click on the little arrow, it's now going to take me to listing number 2. This could not be any easier. Same concept. So, okay, this is Red Rock. This is that one that I remember. It had the fireplace. Okay, that's right. We're going to go ahead and click on directions because remember, we're still at property 1. And now the cool thing is it's now going to take us from property 1 and navigate us to property 2. Same concept. We're there. We're going to go ahead and close that out. And now we're going to go ahead and walk through the property, looking at the specs and taking in that specific property. Exact same concept. Now we're going to go up in the left-hand corner. We're going to click to go to property 3 when we're done with 2. We now, exact same concept, click on directions. It's taking us from the second property to the third. You guys get the drift here on how simplistic in nature this is. It walks you through it, navigates you through it so that it makes it easier for yourself and your client. And it really is a nice user experience. And to be honest with you guys, this is what people are doing anyway. If you're sitting there going from 1 to 2, you know what's happening. You're giving them a printout and they're sitting there typing this stuff into their GPS and they're taking the time to do that. Now you've just taken time out of their day to make it more efficient for them to not have to do that. Plus the benefit here is you're both getting the same directions instead of different directions. So you don't lose your client in that drive. We are at property 4. Okay, I remember this one. This one is the cluster, the ranch. Oh yeah, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to click directions. But just a quick note right here, the drive time, it was on all of them. If they clicked this at any point in any of the listings, they could add any other address. So what if a specific factor for you is you have to be within so much mileage of your mom's house because she's your babysitter? Click on calculate drive time and you can put her address in there and it's going to tell you how far it is from that property or for work or wherever it is. So that's a cool feature. But again, it's the same thing. We're done here. I've showed you everything. It's just click on directions. It will then navigate you to that property. Once you are there, you're now able to go in and look at those specs. So it has a very real live time in it. And it still lets you connect to all the information you need. So let's say, for example, we're looking at these and we're comparing them. They're in our mind. We're going to go get coffee, think about it, or go home and think about it. The cool thing with this presentation, when I click on X, it still has those loaded interactive tools that we have in the buyer tour or the CMA. So I want you guys to think about this. People receiving information receive it in different ways. So you might be a visual receptor. You might be a data receptor. So what that means is if I'm walking through properties and I receive things through data, my mind is thinking about those stats and numbers. But if I'm a visual recipient, I actually need to see the pictures and graphics. So even though we're doing the tour today, at any time of any day, they can come back here and click on this buyer tour, revisit it, and then look at it both by photo and by picture. So they can click on this again. But if I go to the bottom right, we still have all these interactive tools that we've got built in here. Let me go down and click to the next one. So for those who need to see things in a different layout to receive the information and make the best decision, see how this kind of clears out a little bit of clutter. And now we are very specifically focusing on those that are active, contingent, and the pricing. So we can do a very even standby side by side. I'm going to go ahead and click down. And again, you hear me say this every time, but this is my favorite slide, because this is going to cater to those who are mental, right? I'm going to remember the one with the clawfoot tub, but I might not remember the square footage. So what this does is, by visual recognition, I'm now doing a side-by-side comparison. So I, as the buyer, can make the best informed decision for myself and my family, instead of just my realtor telling me the information. So using Moxi in all the different platforms that we have offering them doesn't just help you as a realtor provide something in a nice user experience. You're bringing them in and helping them be a determining factor in the market. So instead of just hearing what's happening on, TV or what's happening in social media, they're in here doing an actual comparison. So they're seeing what's really happening in their market. So they don't need to hear about on TV if it's a good market or a bad market. Their decision is going to be based on real live data and information direct from the MLS. We're not getting it from a third party like Zillow and Trulia and all those people. They're in here making that decision. This has been a game changer for so many people on the buyer end, because you're so overwhelmed. You've seen so many things. All the information is just jumbled in your mind. You start getting stressed because now you're also thinking about selling your house. So this is one of those things that we just try to make as a great step for them to have one less thing to stress for. So I'm just going to run through these real quick. These are just different viewpoints of the same information. So status comparison. So by status comparison, you can see all the different specs here that you can then cross compare to each other. Listing averages. Keep in mind, guys, we love Moxi because it's interactive. So if I click on any of these, it's going to change the data. So all of your clients can come in here, get a great evaluation of what the properties are against each other, so they can make the best choice for them. This is the price and days on the market. So as you guys can see in here, I've got this little bar graph. And if you notice in here, things are color coded. So anything green is going to be active. Anything yellow means pending. And then anything red means sold. So I'm just accurately saying, okay, look, this property's been on the market for 344 days for 418. I really like it. So guess what? Maybe I can probably put a great counter offer in there to save me some money, because I can see that bad boy's been there for 344 days. Now, if I come down here and I hover over this one's 636. It just depends on your market. And this one's 7 days. So do you see how this really helps you establish not only what that value of the property would be in today's market, but also what's your buying power, what's your negotiation power as well. So this helps your client pull it in, and you're really working together as a team. Then again, same concept, just different information. This is the price and size. So you guys can see as you hover over it, it's the same thing. So you can really make that, analysis. And then the last is just simply the informational sheet for the contact or for the realtor. So that's already built in. You don't have to worry about any of that. So that's it. That is the buyer tour. And I'm telling you, it's literally helped people make the decision to purchase and help people sell houses. I'm going to jump into the chat. I see there's a comment already in there, question. Please go in there now and ask any questions you have, because I love to show you while you're on with me live. My first comment in here, it says to use from your phone. Do you go to website or is there an app? Okay, I first mentioned that it is not an app. What you're going to do if you're on your phone, and it doesn't matter if you have a Android phone or you have a iPhone, I started to see it right here. But anyway, when you guys are on your cell phone, somewhere on your phone, there is an internet app, right? So whether it is Google, maybe it's Safari, whatever you tap to get on the internet on your phone is what you're going to do. So I'm going to scroll up here. Let's see if I can get into a way that you guys can see it. Okay. So I scrolled up so that I can see my apps on my phone. Kind of hard when my background is going away here. Okay. So I can see my apps on my phone. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to click on the Chrome button. Oh, good Lord. Technology. Okay. And you're just going to trust that I'm doing it. So I scrolled up on my phone and I'm going to click on my Chrome button. And then when I click on my Chrome button, what's going to happen is, let's say this is like anything else. There's going to be a search bar right on your phone. So if you were going to go to walmart.com, you would just start typing walmart.com and it would take you that. This situation, we're getting into Moxi, so you're actually going to type in mycbdesk.com. It's 100% exactly what you would do if you were on the computer, right? We would go to mycbdesk.com and sign in there and click on the Moxi button. So that's going to actually bring Moxi up right on your cell phone. So as the realtor, you're going to be able to go in here and create the presentation from your phone, from your tablet. And it's not an app, which is important because an app is technically downloaded to your phone and it's taking up a lot of space. And here's what you guys might not know about an app is it's actually not live time. It's actually pre-calculated data pulled into an app. And then every now and then it will update based on the server. So I'm not a huge fan of apps like this. I like things to be mobile responsive. Because it's not an app, it's not taking up space on my phone. I can use it anywhere I have an internet connection. It's nothing more than just tapping on my internet button and then searching for it. Plus, the other thing with this is that I'm able to very quickly come in here and get it. And because it's on my internet, when I actually go off of it and I go back and I tap on my internet button, it's already there and saved in for me. So once I log in, it's already always there. So I don't even have to come in here and sign in all of the time. It just makes it easy for you. So I want you to think about your real life, right? You are at work. You are taking kids to school. You are going to doctor's office and dentist. I want to really encourage all of you to start using Moxi in a mobile way so that you and your client can be on the go and you don't have to wait until you get home or the office to do the business you need to do. We live a very fast-paced life. Things like this are going to take some of the stress out on yourself and your client as well. Are there any other questions? I'm going to give it just another minute. While I'm giving you a second for questions, I'm just going to jump back in and show you where I created that buyer tour from the get-go. Again, we logged in through mycbdesk.com, clicked on the Moxi square, and then we went into Present. That is our presentation tool. Everything that shows on the front page are your pre-made presentations that you already created. So as you now can see on the upper left-hand side, I have that presentation that I've just created. Just so you know, if I wanted to go back into it later, all I would need to do is click on the little edit pencil in the top right-hand corner. I also have some options here by the drop-down box to view it, share it, email it. I can even duplicate it, I can archive it, or I can add a co-presenter, meaning another realtor. So that's my library. To create this buyer tour, we're going to click on Create New in the upper right-hand corner. We are choosing the buyer tour option and continue. I'm going to keep the brokerage templates here, hit continue, and now we're going to go ahead and say Tom Jones. And it's as simple again as you just running through the process, adding in your MLS numbers, and then sending it to your client. It is as easy as it gets. I think we are set here. I don't have any questions, so hopefully that was efficient for you. Please do me a favor and do yourself a favor and the company a favor. Do not wait until you have someone to do this for. What I'd like to do is encourage you to take 15 minutes today or tomorrow, regardless of when it is. I would love for you to schedule yourself an appointment with yourself right now in your phone. Are you going to do this at 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock? I want you to go in and do a buyer tour. And what would be great, what if you take your own house, right? You can even add your own house to the buyer tour, play with it. What you can do is send it to your brother, dad, mom, sister, whoever it is, cousin, and then you can do that simulation and that practice. And that way you're actually not feeling uncomfortable the first time you're using it and you're seeing how easy it is. And the thing that I love about this as well is it mimics, you're doing the same buyer tour. So as you're literally navigating people like I did, if you're like, okay, upper right-hand corner, click this, it just helps you navigate them a lot easier. On that note, guys, we are all set for the day. Hopefully that was beneficial. As people are getting spring fever, start using this. Make our tools make your life easier and your clients easier as well. Again, I am Elizabeth Glass. If you need to reach me, I am elizabeth.glass@cbschmidtohio.com, or I am 440-378-5706. As always, this is recorded and I will get this up on our video classroom. So at any time you can share it or you can come back in to get more information later. I think we're all set. You guys have a wonderful day and a great blessed rest of your week. Have a great day, guys. Bye.